Hey everyone, today we're going to run through Omnata Sync, which is a first of its kind native integration app for Snowflake. Now we have just launched this. It is available on the Snowflake Marketplace in AWS deployments. And Omnata Sync is going to enable you to pull data in from your SaaS apps and push data out. So it's basically ELT and reverse ETL in one tool. Now it uses new platform features like Snowflake's direct external access so that it has no middleware infrastructure in between. Now, if you think about the way traditional integration tools work, they kind of pull data from an endpoint, they stage it in their own infrastructure, and then they send it on to its destination. In our case, all of that sync logic lives inside Snowflake and actually runs inside your account. The result is that you have a far lower cybersecurity overhead, and we can pass on the savings of not having that big SaaS stack that's pulling data and processing it. It all runs inside your account. It has an embedded Streamlit native UI, which is actually just a tab in your Snowflake account. And it's all secure and governed in the Snowflake platform, the native app framework. It's a much more secure architecture, especially if you are in a security conscious organization or an enterprise where they're very strict on the platforms and tools that you're allowed to use. Now, today we're going to be syncing data from Snowflake to HubSpot, like a classic reverse ETL use case. Say you have some raw contacts that come in, you maybe want to combine some data from different sources, clean those contacts up, and then send them out to your CRMs and marketing tools where they can be activated in the real world by your teams. So we start off in the Snowflake Marketplace, and this is a clean install, so we haven't put anything in this account yet. We go to Omnata's listing, and you can see there's a bunch of different listings. Now, there's the Omnata Sync engine, and this is like the core app that handles all of the data integration operations and logic. And we'll start off just by installing it. The pricing is clear. You get a 30-day free trial, and installing an app off the Snowflake Marketplace is kind of like using the Apple App Store. And Snowflake have done a really good job in making that experience super seamless. So that's off and installing, and then you'll see that there are some other listings called plugins. Now, these are the connectors to the different SaaS apps. Now, at the moment, there's like 3 or 4, but we're planning on growing this list very rapidly as we continue to launch. Again, you get a 30-day free trial on each plugin, and you go and install that plugin, and then those two apps will actually work together to do their data syncs. Now, the reason we did it this way is twofold. One, it allows us to kind of release and update connectors easily without affecting the whole app. The other is it means that users can extend those plugins and connectors and actually customize and build their own. So once we open the app, and you can see we're in Streamlit now, we're just going to have to grant the app a few permissions. Now, you have to grant it a warehouse to run on. And so you just have to run a little SQL command to grant warehouse access. What Snowflake are doing is they're actually introducing pop-ups like the one you're seeing now. And so you'll be able to grant more and more privileges using those pop-ups, which is a bit more of a seamless experience. So we've installed the sync engine. Now we have to install the HubSpot plugin. So we open that app up and we get a little setup UI. Now, again, we have to kind of grant access. So we just open a worksheet, SQL worksheet, and just paste in the script kind of as it is presented to you. No need to edit anything. And when you run that as an account admin, then it'll just work, and that'll create that connection between the two types of apps. So there's 2 steps in this process. And once you hit check, it'll validate that you've done that correctly. So that HubSpot plugin is ready to go. So now we go back to the sync engine. And like I said before, this is where you kind of configure everything. This will tell you what's running, all the activity history, everything like that. So first off, we need to create a connection to HubSpot. Now you'll see the installed list of plugins. If you've installed multiple plugins, then that list will grow. And then that is also where you would see your own plugins that you may have installed. So we're just going to create a HubSpot connection, and we have our HubSpot demo account ready with all of our details. And the connection to HubSpot is fully documented on docs.omnata.com under HubSpot. And HubSpot uses a specific method. So they have this thing called a private app and then a token which you use to connect. So we'll jump over to our HubSpot dev account, and then we'll speed this up a little bit because I was a bit slow clicking around. And so that connection flow in Omnata kind of guides you through the connection for each app that you'd want to connect to. Now, what we're doing here is creating that external access security integration. So again, go to your worksheet and just paste in that script as it is presented to you. Now, again, you need to be an account admin for this role. If you are not an account admin, you can get an account admin to run this for you. And if you exit that connection, it'll actually save your progress so you can come back to it. So it's designed for organizational structures where account admin's not given to everybody, and it might be something that you need to go backwards and forwards to get. Now, this is only something that you have to do once up front. So after this is all granted, then you will be able to use this connection. So this is like a 4-step flow that it will guide you through. So we select the app, select the connection that we've already made, and then we're just continuing through the steps. So on the left, there's a little help section that'll kind of update depending on where you are in the flow. And so we're going to do an outbound sync, and we're going to select a data set of contacts, which we're going to push out to HubSpot so that they can be marketed and sold to. Omnata does a little check on your ID column, make sure that it's unique. And then this is where the plugin kind of takes over. So the plugin will support the different sync strategies depending on what the destination or source API accepts. And so we'll pick Upsert, which kind of creates new records and updates if they're existing. And we're going to point our contacts table at our contacts object in HubSpot. We want to link that by the email because that's the unique identifier in HubSpot. Then we're going to map all of our fields. Now, we do have an automatic field mapper, which will use fuzzy matching to match the column to field names. But we're not going to use that this time because we've only got 3 column to fields to map. So we'll hit the first name and last name and contact number. And then once we've done that, we will be ready to deploy the sync. So there are a couple of ways to deploy. We'll just give it a nice name. You can schedule it on a time basis. And then the second tab would allow you to make it dependent on another sync running. But for a schedule, we're just going to run it daily, and you can run it anywhere up to a minute. And that doesn't cost you anymore. We don't charge based on sync frequency or data volume. It is use of the connector only. And so that sync is now deployed, and it will run on that daily schedule. But if we flick over to the sync dashboard, we can see the full configuration of that sync. We can see where it's coming from, where it's going, and exactly what's happening to each record that's being pushed into HubSpot. Once that does run, we'll be able to see a full history of each record. And then in the controls tab, we can edit the configuration. And we're also just going to trigger a manual run so that you can see that happening now. So we're fast forwarding a bit, and this has run. That syncs 25,000 records to HubSpot. And if we click into it, we can view each record that has been pushed up to HubSpot. Now, one of the benefits of running on Snowflake and in your account is that we can keep a full record history and we don't have to discard that data. That means you can search for records across syncs and troubleshoot specific records if you have problems with them. So you've seen in just under 10 minutes that we've gone from 0 to a fully installed and configured app, and then a configured sync from Snowflake to HubSpot. Omnata Sync is available on the Snowflake Marketplace in AWS deployments only for the moment, but we're expecting this to expand to Azure and Google accounts very soon. There's a 30-day free trial on both the app and the plugins. And if you'd like to talk to us more, we'd love to hear your feedback. And if you want certain connectors and plugins, we'd love to hear that feedback as well, as we do have a roadmap that we'll be releasing in the next few weeks. So thanks for tuning in today, and thanks for your time. Bye.